I think, I mean, I probably didn't play a great service game to go down that break early on, and then she, started, I think, playing a little bit better, maybe cut down her unforced errors a little bit, and, it can get tricky. She's beaten some very good players and taken some very good players to 3 sets, so even after that first set, I did actually tell myself, okay, make sure you keep concentrating, even though that first set was over pretty quick. You got to make sure that you keep going, and I kind of didn't do that at the start of the second set, and then found myself in that hole. So I definitely had to turn it around from 5-2 to change things a little bit, and then try and not let it go to 3. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think she probably cut down her errors a little bit, and then when I then got down that break, I probably didn't feel like I was actually hitting the ball as hard or as deep as what I was in that first set, and then that kind of maybe let her do that to me a little bit more. So from 5-2, I tried to, put a bit more on the ball and do it kind of straight back at her, and then once I got that break back, then I started to feel pretty good in the rallies again, and just tried to keep being the aggressor and not just having a nice rally to let her kind of then do what she wanted to do. Mm-hmm.
How does that help you? Do you feel kind of fearless out there on court, more fearless out there on court when you're winning?
Look, I think anytime you can string a bunch of matches together, it makes you feel more confident. You do feel like you can, like today, I came back from 5-2, and I did that in Badgastan as well, and you do start to feel like, okay, no matter what the situation is, you're going to find a way to get out of it, and that, can only happen maybe as easily, or the thought process happens easier when you've been winning. So, I mean, it's a nice feeling, but you got to go out there and make it happen every day, and nobody's going to give you the next win. So you got to keep going. You can't necessarily rely on that, but it's nice to know that, okay, yesterday I was able to do that. So it gives you maybe that hope that you can do it again tomorrow. Who said that? Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, look, I'd like to think I get some recognition, and maybe, again, I think it's still probably different. If I was a guy, then it'd probably be more. But that's unfortunate, and that's just the way society unfortunately still is at the moment. But no, I definitely feel the support from back home, even the Aussie Summers, which is a place where I haven't necessarily played my best tennis. I still feel like the crowds are behind me, and the general public want to see me do well. And when I'm home, which hasn't been very often, I do feel that they're behind you, and walking down the street, everyone's always wishing me well, so that's a nice thing. So I do feel like it's there, but if it was a male, who knows if it'd be different. No, I think that's anywhere probably. Not like proper tests, but I mean, when I'm at home, it's easier to do it when you're at home training, and especially in Florida, I definitely take note of what my weight is before and after, and quite often you can lose 3-4 pounds in a session easily, sometimes more. So, I mean, here it would probably be somewhat the same. So you got to, make sure you're drinking a lot during and after.
Obviously, the States this summer, a big story is Serena and what she's trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a buzz in the locker room about that? And can you add some perspective for what exactly she's going for from the player's perspective?
Yeah, look, none of us are really sitting around saying how great Serena is, but no, look, it is incredible what she's trying to achieve and well what she has achieved. And I mean, 4 in a row, going for a calendar now that could be 5 in a row. Look, she's definitely the best player of this generation by far, one of the greatest ever, and she deserves all the accolades and everything that comes along with it. To be able to do that consistently through, I mean, she's obviously had ups and downs and timeout and whatever else, but to continually come back and you play those big moments so well and do what she's done for women's tennis is remarkable. So yeah, she's definitely deserving of everything that kind of comes her way, I think. Oh, I mean, there's a massive contribution to Australian tennis, what he's been able to achieve in his career from such a, I mean, young age. What was he, 15 or 16 or something when he did what he did in Adelaide? And, I mean, there's probably countless boys who have grown up watching him play and want to be the next Leighton Hewitt. So it's been a fantastic career, a couple of Grand Slams, #1, and yeah, I mean, look, he's not one of the biggest guys out there either, so I think it shows his determination. I don't think anyone would say that there's almost a better kind of fighter on the court and a competitor, and he'll leave everything out there before he loses a match, that's for sure. So it's, you can't say that about everyone probably, but he's certainly probably been the player who's demonstrated the most in his career, and yeah, obviously loves the sport, and that's what he's been able to give to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, I actually quite enjoy playing Serena. It's a great challenge, and I know that I've got a game that troubles her. I've proven that and had success against her, and I mean, she's obviously beaten me more times than I've beaten her as well, but you know that you've got to do certain things well against her to have a chance, and I feel like I've got those kind of weapons that can bother her, and yeah, look, playing someone like her in one of the biggest stages in tennis is a great opportunity, a great experience, and I guess you really then you see the benchmark, you see what the best in the world is, and you've got to go out there and try and match it and beat it. So yeah, like I said, I've always actually enjoyed playing Serena, even though I know sometimes I get killed out there. I know that on any given day I could win. So it's that's exciting for me to go out there knowing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, look, I know that I've got a game that is kind of difficult for a lot of players to play against. As someone like her, she doesn't necessarily have a big shot or a big powerful weapon, but what she does do is she moves very well, she fights hard, she can run a lot of balls down, and even today with my serve being the weapon that I try and make it, she made a ton of returns, makes you hit another ball, and she does that very well. And I think this last probably year or so, she's had some of her best results. So you got to go into that knowing, okay, she is capable of doing that, and you've got to make sure that you go out there and win the match. Because if you start, pushing the ball around and not doing what you do well, yeah, she can keep going and keep going. She'll always be there, ready to take the opportunity. Um, Look, I think tennis is, I think, obviously a lot about matchups, and my game matches up well against some players and terrible against others, and I find it hard to play, certain opponents. But with Serena, I enjoy that, like I said before. But yeah, look, I think that there's no doubt she's going to be feeling the pressure going into New York. I mean, it's I guess a kind of a good pressure to have, if you can say that there's pressure having won 4 Grand Slams in a row. But you know that she's going to want to get that calendar slam and keep going, and she's not immune to that pressure and nerves and everything else, I don't think. So you've got to make it happen and go after it. And like I said before, the top players, they don't give you matches very often. So if you're going to win, you've got to bring your tennis to the table, whatever that is, to make sure that you're doing what you do best. And in the biggest moments, you've got to make that happen. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess generally, I'd say all the Aussies were in Australia training in our Australian summer for the year ahead, and we grow up like that, I guess, in similar conditions depending where you're from in Australia. So, typically I don't think the Aussies, don't necessarily have trouble in the heat, but we kind of like those conditions, so that makes it easier for us. But having said that, I know a lot of the European players, they don't necessarily train indoors in the winter all the time. They'll travel, they'll come to the States and train elsewhere to get used to those conditions as well. But I think just something that we've grown up with, it's got to be a bit of a help rather than a hindrance, that's for sure.